tonight I'm going to be joined by really one of my heroes. The sister is, if you know her, then you know what she represents. Miss Sarah Carpenter is a rock star among rock stars. I know, Miss Sarah, you're trying to log in. Just when you hop up, I'll see you, and then I will invite you to the conversation. But as she comes on, tonight we're going to have the kind of conversation that she and I have when it's just the two of us, or when it's her, Dr. Fuller, and me. These are the kind of conversations that we have. This is, there may be some cuss words in this one. This one is for anyone who's ever wanted to lead, or anyone who is ever leading, who truly believes in the cause. And I'm going to ask my team if y'all could just make sure that Miss Sarah is set up. I'd appreciate it. I can see her in the chat. Hold on a second. I don't see her yet. I just spoke to her a little while ago, so if you guys could reach out to her. All right, there we go. Gentlemen, join me in welcoming easily one of the baddest sisters in the country, who we refer to as Miss Sarah Carpenter. What's going on, sis?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm having the time of my life, sis. You understand what it is.
I don't know about the time of my life, but I'm having a time.
Well, if you know like I do, some of us were in January, we're in hospitals getting our brains operated on.
Right. Me and you, a matter of fact, like a day or two apart.
Literally. I'm gonna take us back. So, folks, so much to discuss with Miss Sarah, and I see I want to wave back at you, but please forgive me for not waving back at you. I'm just so locked into the sister that don't take it for anything other than that. So, Sarah, when did we meet?
God, I met you. You came to Memphis with Michelle Reed one time.
Ooh, that's a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. And what's his name? Kevin Johnson, I think.
Yeah.
And I listened to you then. I've been following you before then. It's like some people I followed for a while in this circle. And man, I heard you speak. I said, that man is the truth. You know, I'm from North Memphis, so I'm like, he the truth. He the real truth. So, I mean, you didn't hold no punches, and you said you weren't coming back to Memphis to talk about the same thing, you know, and you meant that. So, I mean, I love Dr. Perry. I do.
I appreciate you, sis. So we met, man, it's got to be a decade ago. And
it was over a decade, I think.
Yeah, it's over a decade ago. So for those who don't know, I'm going to have you introduce yourself to some degree, but I don't want to get too long into introductions because that's not why we're here. So I'd known of Miss Sarah's work, her Scorched Earth campaign to free Black children in particular from failed schools. I had never seen anyone so willing to take people's heads off than Miss Sarah. And I was moved by your commitment and the pure authenticity of your voice. It's for those of you who are unaware of how sometimes these movements start, somebody puts somebody on to do something. A lot of times when you see, sadly, Black people who are out there speaking, they are sponsored, as Malcolm would say. Is that true, Miss Sarah?
I think so.
And so,
not just Black people, white people too, Hispanic people too.
I agree with that. Thank you for that. So when you meet a lot of these folks off camera, what they say on stage is not the same thing that they say when they're standing behind, when lights go off. And what I've respected about you from the word go, Miss Sarah, is that you are 100% fire 100% of the time. What is it about you that keeps you so lit?
Man, I think the vow I made to God, I don't say a higher power than myself. I say God, because that's who I give an account to. I made a vow to God, man. And God, I was looking for my purpose in life. And guess where I got my answer at? Standing on the corner in my neighborhood. And I stay in the neighborhood. And standing on the corner, God gave me my purpose. And I've been walking in it ever since for 30 years, probably. I mean, I believe we all got a purpose in life. I know we all got a purpose in life. And when you walk in your purpose, I promise you, that wasn't my first brain surgery, Dr. Perry. I had brain surgery in 2011. And, you know, I done been through a lot. And when you find yourself, I never will forget about 15, 20 years ago, I went to my pastor and said, man, I'm sick of dealing with these people. You know, they don't get it. And he looked at me and said, you want to be blessed? I said, yes, I want to be blessed. He said, well, you got to keep doing what you're doing. And I kept doing what I was doing from that day, man. I mean, anybody can get it when it comes to our children. And when I fight for my children, I'm fighting for all children. And I made that clear in D.C. I'm not just fighting for my children. I'm fighting for all children. I got 15 grandbabies. I'm still counting Braylon, and he gone on to heaven. But he's still my grandbaby, so I'm still fighting for Braylon too. You know. And when you find yourself, I'm sorry, Dr. Perry.
No, please, go ahead.
When you find yourself getting up in the midst of what you're going through, you know, and you can go back and do the same thing, I have no doubt about my purpose. And I don't even question nobody about my purpose. I don't even try to explain who I am anymore. In my 30s, I was trying to explain to people who I was and what I was about. I don't even try to explain who I am no more, because I know who I am.
Miss Sarah's mentioning Braylon, who is her grandson.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why, Miss Sarah, I want to have this conversation with you tonight is because people don't understand the duplicity. They don't understand the lies that are going on. While you're here talking the platitudes of freeing children from failed school systems and fighting the unions and our community and pastors and imams and friends and allies, while you fighting that, right? You're fighting the fight there, and we're gonna talk about that. You're a grandmother of 15 children.
Right.
And one of them was murdered as you are out there on the front lines,
yes,
fighting for our children. Can you help us to understand as best you can how you reconcile that you are a woman who's out in the community every single day doing everything that you can to make the community better, and your own grandbaby is murdered?
I can't even begin to tell you how I felt at that time. I felt betrayed. And I put that on my Facebook page, and young people calling me, Miss Sarah, you said you felt betrayed. Yes, I felt betrayed. You know, at that time, I didn't know how to feel. When I got to that scene and my grandbaby was laying there dead, I felt betrayed by the whole community, man. But it wasn't the whole community that did this. So the next day, I'm back on the battlefield for children, you know. And then later on, I found out that one of the boys that pulled the trigger to kill my grandson, he was the detective on the case. I know him, and he told me, he said, Miss Carpenter, he said, the young man said, how much is this $10,000 bond? And he said, man, that's $1 million bond. So that let me know a system had failed him too, you know. And I just believe in my heart of hearts, Braylon wouldn't have took those guys' life. I know he wouldn't. He wasn't raised like that. You know, he wasn't raised that way. And then, I mean, Dr. Perry, when you find yourself, no matter what you're going through, and you still show up for your purpose, man, you walking in your purpose, no matter what you're going through. Both of us laying out at the same time with somebody looking around in our head, man, you know? So, I mean, brain surgery in January, January the 4th, January the 5th, I needed my iPad. I need to get busy, you know.
I want people to understand what Miss Sarah's talking about. So, on January 3rd, on January 3rd, I had a stroke and was found in my office unconscious by one of my colleagues and very dear friends, and was taken to Yale New Haven Hospital, where they performed emergency brain surgery on me. While I lie in intensive care, I after I came out of my surgery, I saw that day, later on that day, that Miss Sarah was going in for brain surgery. And so I reached out to her, and she didn't call me back. And so so that was Monday, was mine, and hers was on Tuesday. And I reached out to her. She called me on Thursday, and she apologized. And she said, "I'm sorry, Dr. Perry, for not calling you back." And I said, "Sis, I get it. Like you're jammed up right now. I completely understand what you're saying." And so we got to talking, and she was telling me that this was her second brain surgery. And you know, if you know anything about, which I didn't, brain surgeries, they don't get better with time. They don't. And so we talked a little while, and Miss Sarah said, she switched just as quickly as the conversation began. And she said, "Dr. Perry, you taking care of yourself?" I said, "I am, Miss Sarah." She said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm in ICU." She said, "What are you doing in ICU?" I said, "I just had brain surgery." And if you know Miss Sarah, the next part of this conversation will make the most amount of sense. She said, "Well, you going to tell everybody about what you just went through?" I said, "No, Miss Sarah, I'm going to keep this one to myself. I don't feel like I need to have this conversation. People going, hateful people going to say I'm just using it to whatever hateful people will say." And she pounced on me and told me, "I'll let you speak for yourself. Say what you said."
I told him, "You got to tell your story, because God gonna get the glory. I don't need no rocks to cry out for me. I tell my story everywhere I go, because God brought me back for a reason. We got work to do, and I told you got to tell your story, and you told your story. I wasn't taking no for an answer. It's your testimony, regardless of what people on Twitter say, regardless of what people on Facebook say, social media, period. I mean, we got to tell our story. This ain't no easy work, man. And people need to know that. I'm gonna do it till I die. I'm gonna die doing it probably, but I'm gonna do it till I die. You can't sit on a story like that.
So Miss Sarah,
and I wasn't taking no for an answer, Dr.
No,
and I didn't take no for an answer.
You did not. She was after Miss Sarah told me that I was going to tell my story. She then called me from ICU every day until I agreed to share the story. And then when I started to tell it, she got online and told me to say more.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are going to have the conversation now that Miss Sarah and I have, so that you begin to understand that you don't have to like our politics. I don't really, you may not. But I don't think that many people understand how many of us who are on the front lines for real, that this is for real life and death for us. This is not something that we take lightly. Miss Sarah, and I know this because I talked to you the next day while you still had drainage coming out of your head.
Right.
So I talked to Miss Sarah because she was calling me to holler at me to make sure that I told my story, while she still had tubes coming out of her head from the brain surgery. Sometimes, as you know, the brain swells, and that fluid will kill you, and it will paralyze. It will at least paralyze you, and can cost you your speech and cognition. So, Miss Sarah, there you are in ICU, and you asked for your iPad.
I did the very next morning. And the nurses was passing me by, man. You hear me? They didn't want to be bothered with me because I was the only one probably alert in ICU. ICU was just that, ICU. And they didn't see me that next morning. I kept ringing the bell like, I need you to call my daughter. I need my iPad and my phone, man. Okay, give me a minute. And then by about 6:30, my doctor walked in, the brain surgeon walked in, and I'm like, Dr. Khan, can you please call my daughter? He went in his pocket and called my daughter. And I said, Chip, you need to bring my iPad and my phone, please. And I was back at it, man. You hear me? I was back at it. And people didn't understand, but I understood. When you understand, you
I do.
understand.
So when I was after the brain surgery, for me, I was on the operating table, and I said to the doctor who had just performed the brain surgery, who told me we were done, which, by the way, brain surgery hurts. I don't know what people tell you guys, but brain surgery actually is painful. It is you are awake the entire time.
I wasn't.
Yeah, well, I was. For mine, I was.
I wasn't.
And so while I lay there on the table, I asked him to give me my cell phone, and they're like, for what? And so I called my wife and colleagues and said, y'all need to stop worrying because you're worrying me. I'm good. And there was somebody that and again, I have to tread lightly. So at work, there was somebody who had made a bad decision, and we had to take care of that bad decision. And so I called from the emergency brain surgery table, and I said, all right, y'all go ahead and do what you got to do. I can't have people hurting my kids. Can you explain, Miss Sarah, for people who just don't, like, who looking at us and think you guys are insane? You guys are literally insane. Why not stop? You've done it. You've worked harder than anybody. Why won't you stop?
Number one, because my granddaughter just had another little boy, Braden. And I got to fight for Braden now. I thought it was over when them oldest grandkids like graduated from college. Because I fought to get schools closed down in my community. I was determined that my grandkids were gonna have a chance, you know. And I fought. Our elementary school was failing, our middle school was failing, and our high school was failing where I come from. And
What's that mean? This failing? Everybody doesn't know what you mean when you say that.
Teaching our kids how to read, low test scores. When the state scores come out, they were real low, and parents didn't understand that where I come from. So I stood I stood over back in front of the school because I was bold enough to stand in front of the school and talk to parents and tell them what was going on. And they called.
What'd you tell them?
I told them this school not teaching our kids how to read. This school is failing our children. And they had an idea, but they didn't really know. And really, to tell you the truth, I didn't really know. At that time, I didn't really know, so I got to be honest here. But I knew that young parents was coming to me in the neighborhood. Miss Sarah, they passed my baby to high school, and he can't even read. So, again, when I started this work, I didn't even know the word ed reform. I didn't know none of that jargon. I just knew that a system was failing our babies. And at that, a long time ago, Derrick Rose was going to the U of M, right? And he had to sit out. So somebody failed him, right? He had to sit out because of academics. So then I wake up, I got one granddaughter that go to school in the suburbs and one granddaughter in my neighborhood. And one Sunday evening, I said this on a TED Talk, but it's a real talk with me. Ted ain't got nothing on me. I live this, you know. So my granddaughter sitting at the table, two of them in the same grade, same age, about two different daughters. And Kaylin telling Corteria, we been past this. I'm listening to them. Y'all just not getting to this. So I saw the difference, you know. So stood in front of this school telling parents what was going on. They called the police on me, and I went across the street, and I got a big mouth, and I was just yelling across the street that this school is failing our children, man. Them parents were still taking their kids in that school, and I didn't know they was really listening to me, to tell you the truth, because they were still going into school. They probably felt like they ain't have a choice. But the very next year, that school had to close, and I didn't give a damn. I just didn't give a damn. And my phone started ringing. Miss Sarah, they closing Shannon School. Yeah, but Shannon School, I went to that school. My grandmama went to that school. Yeah, but it ain't like it used to be. It ain't like it used to be. Look, Jason, the guy name was Jason, a community guy. That school is failing our children, you know. And he understood and he left me alone. Yes, I stood there. And I need to stand there. They called the police. The people from the district came out. I didn't care. I didn't care. I stayed there. My daughter would pass there going to work every morning. I'm standing out with a sign. Mama, leave these people alone. I will not. Bye. See you this evening. Y'all, this work is as important as waking up in the morning. I see something about PTA on here. What they saying? I can't see.
They're saying they said they wanted to leave her back. I was a member of the PTA, and the news came and interviewed me. After that, my daughter graduated.
But you know what, Dr. Perry, I'm gonna say this, and no offense to the PTA lady, you can't do this work, and I found out PTA is like principals taking over. That's what we called it, and you can't do the PTA where I come from. Always on the school side. The PTA is not. I mean, they gonna do what the school want them to do. Yeah, I started out in these schools. I seen parents coming up there every day, leaving there not knowing what reading level their kids was on, running copies all day for teachers, going to get the teachers lunch. And ain't nothing wrong with that. But when at the end of the day, when you leave that school, you need to know where your child is academically, if that makes sense.
And so I want to stay there. You know, we fight the system. And the system is often politicians who want to limit the choice that the children have to a good school. We fight the system, meaning we police officers who get aggressive. We fight the system, boards of education that maintain a system that's racist by design, meaning that they want to keep kids in their neighborhood schools. Those are the systems that we fight. But Ms. Sarah, for me, the hardest system that we often fight is the internalized racism and the internalization of really some of the self-hate that we see in our community. Like fighting us, to me, is the hardest part. You experience?
Dr. Perry, you know what? I'm so glad you said that because nobody want to talk about that. Nobody want to talk about that. You and I talk about
it. Because we could talk about,
okay, cool.
We could talk about teachers unions, and I'm on record for that. We could talk.
You know what, Dr. Perry? Our school board is predominantly black, one white man on our school board. Our city council predominantly black, county commissioner predominantly black, and our kids still not getting what they need. My community still got blight everywhere, okay? I chose to stay here. and I'm gonna stay here, and I'm gonna make it better. You know, I mean, and our superintendent is black. You know, and it's like we fighting each other. There's no way, not one school, 11% of our kids are on grade level in Memphis. And you turn on the news, they having a big fucking celebration with white tablecloth the day that the news came out that 11% of our kids are not on grade level. And they having a big celebration. How and when do you do that? Where do they do that at? In Memphis. They don't want people like Kenneth Whalum on no school board because he gonna speak the truth. They don't want him. They don't want people like that. They don't want people like that.
What people don't understand, Miss Sarah, and you and I talk about this when it's just me and you talking. What people don't understand is that there are personal costs to this work. That every night that Miss Sarah's on the calls, organizing parents from our community, trying to raise money to make sure that people can get to a protest, trying to create not just a protest just to show you behind act stupid, because people can do that. We're talking about something that actually is well thought out. You try to sit down and talk to people and they wouldn't talk to you, and you see this about systemic. You ain't talking about something goofy. And every time she does that, that means she's not paying attention to her grandkids. That means she's not sitting down talking to them the way that they're supposed to. And in the same time, what's recently happened to your daughter?
My daughter had a heart attack a month ago, and Dr. Perry, I promise you, this is my daughter who lost her son. And just yesterday, she had another heart attack. You know, I hadn't even told you that, you know, but I don't mind telling my story wherever I go, because I know God will deliver and God will heal my daughter. I know this. But she got to do what she's supposed to do. Grieving is real. Grieving is so real.
So when you see Sarah out there fighting, she's a mother and a grandmother. So in this time that you've met Miss Sarah, you've heard her talk about her passion for our community and the work that she does. But what you're also hearing is her telling the rest of the story. That's the tip of the iceberg. That's just this part. The stuff that's above the water is not where the real story takes place. In order for you to be a real soldier, you out there fighting like this, there's all this other stuff that you're dealing with. And Miss Sarah, I know this for a fact. I know that there are many folks who say to you, hey, we put you on our staff. Just chill out.
Say that again, Dr. Perry. You kind of breaking up. Dr. Perry, you kind of breaking up, Dr. Perry. A little bit. Kind of gloomy looking, but yeah. A little bit. You kind of gloomy. Like, I can hear you. Somebody said no sound. Your audio isn't coming.
Okay, let me see. Hold on. 1 second. Try now. Is it better now?
I can hear you, but somebody said they can't hear you, and then it's like
I see. Is it better now?
Somebody can hear you, but your pictures. Okay, that's better. That's
all right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
You may have to come a little close.
I know, right? I know. I put the AirPods in. So I was saying, Miss Sarah, I know that people have offered you the opportunity to be on their staff, and you just do that job, and it just 9 to 5, right?
Yeah. You know what, Dr. Perry? I got a call today and said, you should run for school board. You know what I told the person? I'm more powerful on the street. I'm more powerful on the street. I mean, and I want to stay on the street. Dr. Perry, when you build trust in people and people trust you, you can't let them down. And that's the way my mama raised me. And that's the way I live the rest of my life. When people trust you, you can't let them down. It's easy for me to go and do something else probably. But I don't want to do nothing else.
Well,
not right now, not today.
No, and you come to the work ready to do work. The reason why tonight is so important to me is because I don't think people understand what happens when you are fighting the way that you are, and how you have to balance the impact that it has on you, which you may be able to take, and the impact it has on your family. Can you talk about that?
Oh God, yesterday evening, daughter had a heart attack. I'm at a 5th grade graduation this morning. My daughter's doing okay. You know, I don't even think I know how to balance this life. This is not just a job to me. It's a way of life for me. And I don't even know how to balance it. Believe it or not, and if you don't believe me, I can show you. We got parents coming in for a speaker series right now, and we talking about mental health. We need to talk about these things. We need to talk about these things because mental health is real, and we got a speaker coming in to talk to our parents about it tonight. And I'm gonna be in there too because I'll be off air.
I know you will.
It's tough. It's tough, Dr. Perry. It's tough, but again, and when you, Dr. Perry, I work alongside some amazing other city leaders. You know, some amazing people. Sonia from Nashville, Crystal from St. Louis. These are women in the work also. I can't take all this credit. I will not. Because no man is an island, my mama used to say. It seems like my mama coming out of my mouth more than ever now. No man is an island. Sonia doing great work in Nashville. Crystal doing great work. Maribel and Joe doing great work down in San Antonio. I mean, Kim doing great work in Atlanta. Keisha doing great work in Oakland. I'm sure you know all these people. You heard about them. I can't take all this credit because I can't do this work by myself, man. And then our parents, the parents we meet every day are simply amazing. And we couldn't do this work without parents. I got one power parent, I call him. We call him Bishop. His name Charles Lampkin. Man, this man is amazing. He calling me, encouraging me when I need to be calling him, encouraging him. I mean, this man makes my day. He makes my day. And yes, he got a wife and children and all that good stuff, but he just an encourager, and he loved me and I love him.
What's important, I think, for even those people, and he got a wife and children. You know, one of the things, Miss Sarah, that you are saying is that there are so many soldiers out there like you. I want people to be encouraged to understand that when it's hard, it doesn't mean it's impossible. That they're going to come after you. They're going to come after your kids. They're going to come after your spouse. They're going to make all kinds of claims. What have been some of the claims that people have made about you in this time?
Oh, God, Dr. Perry, when we first got started, they said, them white folk got y'all doing this. They giving y'all money. Y'all getting paid for what y'all do. And you know what I said? Hell, they getting paid to teach our children and film our children. They getting paid, and I go, Dr. Perry, I know I pass schools every day, right? I ain't seen an ugly car on the parking lot.
You won't.
And I pass failing schools. You know, you paying a superintendent $285,000 a year to do shit. Come on, man. And you don't want to pay our parents? Why not? Why not? Look like we can get more done than they can.
What is that?
I didn't mean to curse either. I didn't mean to curse. Dr. Perry, you breaking up, man. You breaking up.
What it is tonight. My internet is not our friend tonight. Is it better now? Is it better now? Okay. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I want people to understand just how you tell us how you overcome the struggles of people making accusations about you and questioning the integrity of your work.
You know what, Dr. Perry, I learned about 5 years ago. You just stay focused on the work. Stay focused on the work and keep doing what you do. And sooner or later, them naysayers, they just drop off, seem like the face of the earth. Because they seeing they can't stop you. How can somebody tell you what to say when you see what you see, and you got babies in your house. You got babies you taking to these schools every day. I want just what's best for my grandchildren and other children in this city as they want for their kids. And yes, they will come up against you. My grandson couldn't get in an optional school because I'm his grandma.
Say that, because I don't think people understand. I don't think people understand what you say that again, because I don't know that everybody got what you just said.
Okay, my grandson, we took him to. I'm calling names because I'll be 61 next week. My grandson, we took him to Miller College High School, a district school, and he had one bad grade and he couldn't get in. But the principal know me from a school that we used to work at together, and she know I don't play about children. Miss Rodriguez would not let my son in that school. But I researched board member kids are in that school. They ain't no better than KJ. Come on, dude. I live it every day.
There's a cost to standing on purpose. And that's what people need to understand, that you could very easily tap out and just say, all right, I got all mine. Because listen, you and I both know people who are there. They got the job at, they got the job at the city, and they're the ones who are now all set. They got benefits. They're chilling. And then here you are out there still grinding, building Memphis Lift from the ground up. Why it is that you choose the path that you choose despite the challenges that you find yourself facing.
Say that again in the last part.
I said, explain why you choose the path that you choose despite the challenges you see yourself facing.
You know what, Dr. Perry? I done had the crappiest jobs in the world. I done cleaned people's houses. And that wasn't crappy to me because I learned so much because I learned how to decorate a cheaper way, right? So I done clean people's houses. I done worked in factories. You know, society would have said you're not qualified to be executive director, but God said yes, you are. I called it qualified. So anyway, I do this work because it needs to be done. I do this work because I had the opportunity. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I had the opportunity, but didn't take it. And I want kids to take these damn opportunities, man, because they out there. But again, it, like you said, it costs you something to walk in your purpose. But you know what? It cost Jesus his life. So, I mean, I don't believe nobody's gonna take my life. I don't believe that. I just don't. Because I know some bad boys. I know some bad boys. And my girls don't play about their mama either. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that would be wise. Unless
I don't think it would either. But I mean, it costs you some things. And I have, even when my next to the oldest granddaughter was getting ready to graduate from Miller College High School, the same school we tried to get her brother in. You know what? They picked on her, and they picked on her. Her senior year, she had to leave because she had some points. Kids not responsible for getting to school on time when they don't have a car. That's on their parents. So why you gonna punish the child? So Vicky had to go to a school in the suburbs, had to go live with my niece to go to a school in the suburbs to graduate. All because Mr. Brown, Terrence Brown, didn't like Miss Carpenter. I'm telling you, man,
listen,
it happen.
I know you have. What would you say, because I know you got this other meeting and I don't want to hold you much longer. We're going to have this conversation again. What would you say to these young people who say they want to be activists, who say they want to be on the front lines? What would you tell them?
You talking about the millennials, right?
Yeah.
Man, they you can't think you know everything. And I'm gonna tell you, like an old lady said at my church one time, don't get rid of your older people. You gotta prop them up, and we do this stuff together, man. I'm serious. I see these people, they don't have a clue. You know what the millennials do? They go with the Kappas, you know, because they in fraternities and sororities and stuff. So they stick together. So, and I'm gonna say this, I wasn't gonna say it. Our superintendent is a Kappa, I think. When we went to say we wanted a superintendent search, guess what? All the Kappas was there from the whole city, I believe. I didn't care. young boys, tight jeans, all that stuff. They were there, you know. And I'm sitting around looking like, dude, if y'all only knew. I want to know what they stand for, because I thought it was the betterment of people, but evidently it's just like a game. We got you, you know. To me, that's the way I look at it, because they had him, and I still feel like today he didn't deserve that job, but he got it. But guess who gave it to him? 8 black board members. 8 black board members. Yeah, they gave him that job. And ain't nothing changed in Memphis. Nothing.
That's the part of this story that I don't think people understand. I don't care.
I want to make this understood. I'm black. I'm black.
All black. All black.
I'm 100% black. But how do you live in a city predominantly black and ain't nothing happening in the black community? Ain't nothing happening in the black schools that's been failing for decades? How? Tell me how. And I don't care who don't like what I'm saying. I don't care no more. I don't care. I do care, but I don't care, if that makes sense.
No, that part is clear, and it should be. You're not running for office. You running for
heaven.
I'm not. You running to make it to the next level. You want to win a different election. So as we close, is it worth it? Is the fight worth it?
It is worth it. It is worth it when parents come up to you and thank you. When kids said, Miss Sarah, I remember this little girl in my community, the first brain surgery I had. She moved to Dallas. She came back home just to give a benefit program for me. And this little girl came all the way back home to do this for me. And when kids come up to you and say, and you done forgot these kids now because they grown, Miss Sarah, you remember? Yeah, I do remember. And half the time I don't remember because they all grown up now. So, I mean, it's all worth it. It's all worth it when you show up at a school that you helped to get started 20 years ago. This happened just today. And people still appreciate you. You know, kids that cut the ribbon to a school 20 years ago, then went off to college and got their own little families now. And they thanking you, yes, it's worth it. Yes, it's worth it.
I've seen firsthand your work. Only God knows your worth. I have seen what you've done. People don't realize that the reason why Elizabeth Warren is not president today is because Miss Sarah took care of that in Atlanta.
Dr. Perry.
I'm saying to you, look, I saw y'all.
Perry. But Dr. Perry, I gotta say it was 100 more people with me, or 200 more people with us, and it was other city leaders. I can't take that credit.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you acknowledging them. But let's be clear, there were some leaders in there, and y'all shut her down. She thought she had a coronation, and she thought she was gonna get away. Why don't you tell the story? I'll let you tell it. What happened?
Well, we went in and we had a plan, and she was talking about working black women. So we don't work. We work too. We work. You know, maybe not the work you want us to be doing, but we got a job. You know, so I never will forget when we had already said when one stomped, John started stomping. We had it all together, man. John Little started stomping, and we went from there.
So what happened was
we got back there and had a meeting with her. I said we had already did our research. Sonia Olive had did our research. Your grandkids or kids went to private school. No, they didn't. You lied, lady. You lied.
So what people don't know is
now one Uncle Joe lied to us too.
So let me go back. So what happened was during the Democratic primaries this past go round, a number of us had worked together to we worked together to protest at the Democratic primaries. And so we had protested in Los Angeles and in Houston and in, I don't even know where in Ohio, but in Ohio and then South Carolina and of course in Atlanta. So Elizabeth Warren was she at Spelman? Where was it?
No, it was Clark.
It was at Clark, my bad. So Elizabeth Warren was at Clark University in Atlanta, excuse me, and she was giving a speech, and you would remember is that Elizabeth Warren was leading at that point in the polls. She was at the top or near it, and she and Bernie Sanders were fighting for who was going to be the craziest, most leftist Democratic candidate. And Joe Biden was near the bottom. He was not. He was not winning. And so Miss Sarah, there were some folks that we had from the Freedom Coalition. Miss Sarah had Powerful Parent Network, and there's other groups that are led by Black people who all converged on Atlanta. That one I wasn't at. I was at something for my sons. But so Miss Sarah, Dr. Fuller, and as she said, hundreds of other mainly Black and Latin parents were at Clark University and listening to Elizabeth Warren speak and felt that what she was saying wasn't accurate. So they showed out. And when they showed out, they shut her down. And she does what people do, which is she asked a Black person to come in and ask y'all to stop. And y'all didn't at all. And so then they sent over a pastor, a Black pastor, that said, if y'all will stop, then we will let you speak with her. And so then Miss Sarah and a number of representatives, including Dr. Fuller and some others, went backstage and talked to her. And so Miss Sarah said, all I want is what you have for your children. And Elizabeth Warren said, I send my kids to public school. And so I'll let you take it from there, Miss Sarah. Then what happened?
I said, you lied. So everybody got her lying, and brought her lies to the light, I would say. And we went back again. I think John Legend was doing a mini concert, and they was like, don't disrupt. We gonna talk to y'all after this. And we didn't have to disrupt, so we talked to her after that, lady, you don't need to be the president. Shit. And I'm wondering, did Uncle Joe need to be the president? Because I just feel like, you was in the Obama administration, right? Why are you so against charter schools now? Is it because you're in the teachers union pocket? Come on, dude.
It's because he identifies with the overwhelmingly white teachers as opposed to the poor Black children.
And
let's be clear, Joe.
Dr. Perry, I asked the question: Is First Lady running the education department or who?
It's Randy Weingarten. They identify with the teachers. They identify with the white middle class teachers, and not the poor Black children. They identify with the white suburban experience. They don't identify with the Black and Latin urban parents who don't have options. They don't identify with it. They don't identify with it. They pity it. They take pictures with it, but they damn sure don't want to change it. They leave it just the way it is.
And
they have.
I tell you all the time, I'm just not a charter school advocate.
And nor am I.
I just want a great school for every child, and parents make that decision. That's all I want. Is that too much to ask?
Let me be even clearer. If there were another way for us to run our own schools where we didn't have to fool with the state and federal government, I promise you, they could have my charter. They could have every charter, and I would start from scratch, and they could have all of them. But that is not the case right now. Right now, this is the only way that we get to open our own schools in our own community. And so since that's the only way right now that we get to do it, I'm going to take this public money because I'm a public, and then we're going to work with the public to open our own school, lead our own schools.
Right.
And so I'm not here to sit and quibble. If you ask me, do you want a mayonnaise sandwich or do you want nothing? I've eaten my share of mayonnaise sandwiches. I've had mayonnaise sandwiches. I had sugar sandwiches. I had bread sandwiches, which sounds redundant, but it is what it is. And I'm not going to turn away because it beats a blank. Right now, charter schools beat a blank. It's the only option that we as Black and Latin people have to start our own schools. And anybody who thinks anything different is playing themselves. You can say, yeah, we'll start a private school. Who are you going to have go?
But you know what, Dr. Perry? I think about this often. Sidwell. Hell, if I could send KJ, Caleb, and Ken Darius to Sidwell, I would.
Listen.
But we don't get it like that.
We don't. I don't have $60,000 a year to send to somebody to high school. I don't have it. that way.
But they sending their kids to those type of places.
All of them, and
Yeah.
include President Obama in that. He never
But
sent his kids.
I mean, I don't knock what they do, but don't knock what I'm trying to do.
And I'm saying, and for me, I want that. I want you to get yours. I want to get mine though too. Don't stop me from getting mine. I mean, you get yours. I want mine. You got yours. We all want to have the same opportunities. We find ourselves dealing with, in too many cases, the Democrats who are literally trying to stop the very thing that they get, which is school choice. And they say, no, I send my child to my neighborhood school, but you got to choose to live in that neighborhood. You get to choose to which house you pick,
exactly.
And you get to choose to send your child to that school. You could choose not to. They're very different. It's not the same.
You get to choose not to live in a food desert. You get to choose not to live in my neighborhood. You get to choose those things. But we don't get to choose because we got to live where we can afford.
Let me take it one step further, Miss Sarah. My wife and I have seen many bucolic neighborhoods and we thought, wow, this is, it'd be really nice to live here. And then we think, we will be the only Black people here. Do we want our children under those conditions being educated? Is that what we want? Is that the choice we want to make? Because they don't have to make that decision. We do. And so I have to ask myself the question, do I want somebody making fun of my son's race? Do I want somebody asking my son's dumbass questions when they're little? Do I want somebody ripping apart their self-esteem and their culture? Do I want that? No, I do not. Or do I want to create schools that I can send them to? I'm proud when my sons go to school. When my sons are in school and they say, I went to an all-Black school, people look at them like that, and you ended up here? Yes, he did. He's still there, both of them. And the more of those opportunities we have, the better off we will be. But the only way we get there is if people support people like you, and not just support you in the public work that you do, but call to check on you. Hey, Miss Sarah, how are you doing? How are you doing? You got a sister, you got a daughter who just had her second heart attack in a month. She lost her son to murder. You had 2 brain surgeries just recently, one 3 months ago. You are out here trying to raise money to make you sure you can raise the conscience. Hey, how are you doing? That's gotta be hard. Check in on you. If people want to have opportunities to educate their own children, they have to put the support behind sisters like you. And you mentioned a bunch of them. They're all over the country. We could have 50 other sisters on this call. And let's just be honest, the overall majority of them are sisters. We want more brothers out there on the front lines. Emery Edwards is a cat who's out there doing things. 8 Black Hands, they're out there talking their talk about what we do, and we appreciate what they do. But there are not enough brothers who are doing the work that you do.
You know what, Dr. Perry, I promise you, I tell our service team is the people that go knock on doors and meet parents where they are. Go after these young Black men. I really believe in that. But I said, and when we get a room full of men, you know what I tell them? Black women been on the front lines forever. You see these bullet holes in my chest? I said, we need y'all. We got to let our Black men know we need them, man. And we do need them in a major way. We get treated different when we bring men with us. We get treated.
That's all right.
We get treated totally different.
Well, so I said that I was only going to have you a half hour, and I've broken my promise to you. Please forgive me for that. We're coming to the top of the hour. I just want you to, as we part, I want you to talk to those people. They may not be working in education reform, but they may be doing something. Did we lose you, Miss Sarah? Okay. That's all right. It's all right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Yep.
I got a half head up here, but my iPad keeps falling.
That's
but
all right.
I'm here.
I got you. Half head and all. We're gonna finish here with the half heads. Those people who are, whatever their purpose is, who are standing in their purpose and feel the people hitting them behind the head, sometimes their own family members, I can attest to that, are coming for them, trying to destroy them, take any opportunity they can to try and pull themselves up and make themselves relevant, because don't nobody really care about them because their work ain't that meaningful, or they don't have that much talent, or they, whatever the case may be. Who knows why people don't care about them? They just don't. But then there are those who, for whatever reason, have captured the attention of those other people, Hey, what's up, Trey? Trey is one of our former students. Well, alums. He's not a former student. Alum. He went off to college. He, his brother, and now his other brother works with us. Love you, Trey.
Congratulations, Trey.
Can you say? Oh, there's my son. Look at that. Thank you.
Hey, son, how you doing?
Can you, for those people who are living in their purpose, can you give them something to focus on when it's hard as hell? Hard as hell.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm a firm believer. You better make sure you're walking in your purpose. You know, some people build their own purpose, and some people God give it to you, and you better make sure. And believe me, some days I went back and hit my knees and said, God, you sure? Are you sure you want me to do this? And I find myself doing it, so that let me know I'm sure. You got to make sure you're walking in your purpose. You don't give yourself your purpose. You got to walk in the purpose that God gave you, a higher power than yourself, whatever you want to call it. I call it God. So just make sure you're walking in your purpose and stay focused on the work at hand. No matter what people call you, I've been called everything except what my mama named me. But guess what? 7 years later, with Run the Memphis Lift, I'm still here, you know. So just make sure you're walking in your purpose and stay focused on what you're doing.
One time I was in Toledo, Ohio, and I was I just spoken at an organization called UMADOP. And UMADOP is an organization that one of the things it does, it works with ex-offenders. Mm-hmm. And after the conversation that I had with these brothers, and mostly brothers, one of the brothers came over to me and said, brother, I would follow you wherever you go. And I was so blown away and so humbled by that. I went upstairs to the room that they gave me. And I dropped down on my knees and I began to cry. And I said, God, why on earth did you pick me? There's so many other people. Who would they want to follow? And what I want people to understand is that you don't need to be perfect to walk in your purpose.
Right, you don't. Dr. Perry, I'm walking in this room. I want you to say hi to my parents, okay?
All right, I certainly will.
I'm sorry, I just got to.
Let me say, y'all know you.
Okay, y'all. Dr. Perry want to say hi.
Hey! Beautiful people.
That's Dr. Steve, the Dr. Steve Perry.
If anyone ever doubted why I love Miss Sarah, you see it now. Miss Sarah's doing the work. Parents, let me let y'all get to work. Miss Sarah, thank you so much for joining us tonight on No Dumb Question. I love you to pieces, and you can't do nothing about it. Y'all take care.
Just keep loving me. I'm gonna keep loving you. I love you here. Okay, y'all.